The podcast you are listening to of Holmberg's Morning Sickness is brought to you by my friends at Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Trust me on this one. You've had barbecue before, but you haven't had it this good. Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale, ericsfamilybbq.com.
When was the last time you had really good Texas-style barbecue? Eric's Family Barbecue, the way it's supposed to taste. Always delicious, never rushed, and prepared to perfection. Eric's Family Barbecue uses only 100% fresh meat, slowly smoked over mesquite wood until it's juicy and delicious. We all know their brisket is the best, but have you tried their pulled pork, pork ribs, or rib tips? Amazing, and their sides are all house-made. Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Make the trip. You won't be sorry. Go to ericsfamilybbq.com for more information.
This man needs medical attention.
Holmberg's Morning Sickness.
The old method of treatment for a person in this condition was to throw him in jail.
It took him one day. Good morning, everybody. Hello there. Welcome to the Morning Sickness. My name's John Holmberg, live from my couch. There's Brady, I guess. I hear him.
Yeah.
Brett's in there because the cocks were running. You did it, Brett.
I got it.
One day later. And Big Dick Toledo running around out there. Hope everybody's well. Welcome to Tuesday. It's 5:45. My cat now wants out of the room. The screaming and yelling at 5:45 in the morning has made the cat flip out. El Gato Diablo de Guadalupe is no longer interested in hanging out with Dad, so he is going to be a distraction here for a minute. It's the last day, guys. I don't have to do this. Here's the protocol. I get to stay here today and do this broadcast from the house, which evidently, knock on wood, is going to work out one more day. But here was the protocol yesterday. Richard and I were talking. Larry McFeely, our boss, our superstar boss, program director, the Juku, as we call him.
Still funny.
Was talking to Richard yesterday and started to cancel all of our stuff, saying, all right, no comedians this week. We're not going to do this. We can't have people in the building. And Larry's in a mask, I guess, and everything else, right? So he's under the impression, through things he's read for the protocol in the building, that we are, I am out, and that place is toxic and it is dangerous.
You are not allowed.
But no one else is in a mask, right?
No one.
All right.
I'm sorry. Brady was in a mask at the end of the show yesterday.
Yo, you're wearing a mask too, Brady, just because of the potential toxic environment that exists?
Exactly. On the way out, I put it on, get out.
I wore one
Just
leaving
so-
because I wanted to run into Susie or something. That was the only reason I wore it,
You don't need people up your ass, just in
Right.
case. Well, evidently, there's no rule against for that, so you guys don't have to do that if you don't want to.
All right, good.
Yeah, so, because Susie is the HR lady. She's not in a mask, right?
Nope.
No.
Yeah, so nobody cares. So then the next thing, Larry was like, we're out. Like, no, not going to be back until next Monday, and actually asked Toledo if there was a plan in place to move Pladio, because just in case it's just never ending.
How do we move Thanksgiving? I mean, come on.
Right.
So I got so I have emails from every person in the world at the building saying the CDC protocols and Hubbard's this and Hubbard's that, and basically if you read it, it says here's the deal: lie about all your symptoms, and we'll make it real easy for you. So I didn't do that, but. It's 10 days. Here, you have symptoms, you test positive, then it's 10 days from the first time you had symptoms on through, and then you just come back. There's no retest. There's no nothing. You just come back.
You just show up.
So I was under the impression, this is how most people do it, and I bet you most offices this way because it's very funny. I've been doing the NFL protocol. I've been watching like the Ben Roethlisberger and Aaron Rodgers thing. Basically, it's like, all right, unvaccinated players have to be like 14 days of this and 12, 13 days from first signs of testing or whatever. And then they have to retest twice and come back. So I'm like, I assume we're that. It's just my symptoms started technically in hindsight, not last Saturday, but the Saturday before when I had kind of an itchy throat after that Suns game. Like, my throat hurt. So I went to sleep, woke up with a little bit throat. No big deal, though. Nothing I was concerned about. And then Monday they were bad. So that was technically 10 days ago today. So I told Susie, I called Susie, our HR lady, and I'm like, is that okay? And she goes, yep. And I'm like, so my symptoms started. She said, well, your symptoms on a Monday, so you can come back Thursday. And I'm like, actually, they were on a Saturday. And then I heard her go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, you'll be back Wednesday. And I'm like, all right. And everybody's okay with that? And she goes, yep. I'm like, cool. Called Trip to get him on the same page. Okay, whatever it takes. Want to grab some lunch? And I'm like, I don't think I should do that. But sure, if you want. And then, so that's the protocol. The protocol is, hey, when were you sick? And I'm like, I don't know. 2 weeks ago Tuesday. Oh, you can come back right now. It's like, okay, I will.
You've taken an extra couple of days.
Yeah, I actually went too far.
And I took the brunt of it because that policy wasn't in.
Right.
Oh, no, we didn't have vaccines. Yeah, you went off and got this when nobody knew a thing. What do you mean?
I was saying even when I was in the midst of basically like 4 weeks of still testing positive, the CDC actually came out with saying it's 10 days, and then it runs its course, and they changed their policy, but we still didn't as a company.
All right, when you were, that's right, I forgot about that. When you had it, it was like test, and then they did the thing. It was like, around for 14 days quarantine, you should be fine, even if you keep testing positive. But
here we had people in the building that were freaked out.
Horrified of the idea that you can nobody really knew anything then, but that was when the CDC did that change. So the high rate of COVID that's popping around, and there's a lot of people getting it right now, but since most people have kind of the vaccine or it's kind of past them, the encouraged factor by the CDC's guidelines is if you need to get back to work, and I don't know who would want to do that. I don't know. I didn't follow my own advice. I should have said, I still have symptoms. But then they'd have sent over like you guys would have been over here. I'm not allowed to be sick. So it's like you guys would have been here. I'm like, why are these idiots at the house? Oh, we brought our own broadcast equipment. The whole team's coming in. So I was like, I'd rather get back in there. And they just ask you one basic question. When did this start? And I'm like, I don't know. June? Oh, you can come back. Nobody's really that concerned. So today's the last day of the couch show. And frankly, the only thing I'll miss is laying in bed until about 5:20.
Best commute in Maricopa.
Oh, it's the greatest commute in the world. I walked over to the couch. I still have sleep in my eyes. Like I'm a mess right now, and it's fine. It's just absolutely great. So there it is. So tomorrow morning, I'll be back in there, barring COVID attack 2, which I'm not going to worry about.
Not sure if you heard
what
Austria, how they're handling the whole deal. If you're not vaccinated, you're in lockdown.
Yeah.
Wow. You're not allowed to go out. Anyone that's vaccinated can come into work and all that. If not, and that's fine, you can choose it, but you're locked down. You're not allowed to go out of the house.
You cannot leave the house.
You can leave the house for, again,
essentials.
It's your essentials.
Yeah. How about that? Yeah,
But you can't get anybody sick at the grocery store or anything like that.
And they will have that thing where the person has a certain work pass that allows them.
Papers, please.
Yep.
But
exactly.
Let me see your papers, please. Why are you out of your dwelling? The fun part of the deal is that also encourages lying.
Yes.
Everything we do encourages making stories up or lying and making the whole situation go away, which I would do all day long. And the other thing, if I started to have symptoms again, and I didn't catch a ton of crap, but it was wildly inconvenient. I got a cold, so it was kind of obvious I had something. But I would just, I would lie again. I would lie about all of it. I wouldn't. If this were to happen again, I would just basically be like, no, I tested, everything's fine, and that's it. Because I don't think anything can happen anymore. Nobody cares. It's the strangest thing. You got the symptoms? Yeah. All right.
I'm vaccinated.
We're all fine. Everybody's good. So nobody was worried. So today's actually just kind of superfluous. It's just whatever. And if I decide to wake up late tomorrow, I might pick this microphone up off the couch and do another one because this ain't so bad. I just hate having work in the house because I got a text yesterday that the reason I don't want this in my house ever, and I won't, again, I've said it for years, the reason work and home have two different names is because they're two different things and they shouldn't intertwine. And talking to people who've been working from home over the last 18, 19 months, they kind of like it because the commute part, but there's no break. Your job sits next to you all that. There's something about that strange drive to and from that decompresses you out of one place and into another. And without it, it's very strange. Because yesterday, Fitz and I were talking, and he goes, "Why don't you just pick up the mic, big babe, and let's chat it out?" And the next thing you know, I got headphones on, I'm on a microphone, and Fitz and I are having a work conversation because I can.
Right.
and instead of just texting, which is silly. So I don't know.
Which is a beautiful thing for Fitz. Wait a minute. Somebody's equipment that I can punch a button up and have a conversation.
Oh, he loved it.
Somebody's going to talk to me?
Loved it. All right. Yeah. So it was that's it. So I highly encourage the lying part of everything because everybody's going to be doing it. And if you want to pretend like you don't have it, that's the easiest thing to do. I think go for it. I have to say this. I got a text yesterday from a guy named Henry Sutolovich.
Whoa.
Henry Sutolovich says...
Italian guy.
Yeah, very.
Right.
And he says, everyone's jumping on the Toledo hate bandwagon. Because yesterday, at the end of the show, some guy emailed and said something that when I wasn't in the studio, all he thought to himself was he would wish that Toledo would shut his
D-hole.
useless
D-holster.
D-holster. And we all laughed. We had a good laugh at Toledo's expense. But he says, as everyone's jumping on the Toledo hate bandwagon, I might actually have a comp for him. When Brady was in quarantine last year, he sounded like he was a call-in guest. And today it sounded like you were right there in the studio. And while you were talking, everyone else had the call-in sound until they had a bit more to say. Then the balance levels came up and gave a better quality sound for everyone. If any of this makes sense to you, I'm just letting you know the sound for what you guys are doing sounded great. Kudos to Rich for producing such good audio. Or they gave America's sweetheart better equipment and Toledo was just fiddle farting and blocking Jay's emails. And I text back, well, to completely ruin that, the technology's doing it. Brett actually ran the sound today, so the built-in compression that comes with all the equipment is the thing that balanced it. Meanwhile, Toledo was in the other room listening to Seattle Sports Radio and putting together the podcast. I said, I'm a bit more of a stickler, I guess, when it comes to the broadcast stuff, so I spent a long time Friday making sure all the process was good. And Henry emails back, cool. So it was a setup and not Toledo learning new tricks. Oh, well, I tried to compliment him. I guess it's back to attacking the cuck soy boy. And I'm like, yep, that's it. That's all. It's always just going to jump right back into the cuck soy boy attacks, which are there. But evidently it sounds good enough that no one really knows the difference. So
It did sound good yesterday.
I have no idea how it sounds. It just sounds like me in my house yelling.
You should listen to your own podcast. You'd find out.
Couldn't do it. There's no possible way. Yeah,
what channel is that on?
Your own podcast?
Yeah.
Don't turn the TV on, Brady. We'll lose you. Just don't do it. Yeah, I have the TV on right now. They're doing a special about Thanksgiving pie, and it is a giant Reese's cup. And if this was
9-incher.
That thing looks
all right,
amazing.
settle down. If we had this TV on right now, we would be a 3-man operation. There would be no way that Brady could look at a and it's still there, by the way. The screen is frozen.
It's sold out. You can't get it.
You can't get. You've already looked into getting a couple. Yeah, the TV though, Brady would have been. He would have been licking that television. He'd have been reaching for it. That was a clean picture of a Reese's cup pie.
Look at that baby, Brett.
Oh man,
is it
Play-Doh? Just thing look good?
It's a giant.
It's a giant Reese's.
Yeah.
Reese's.
Is it in the wrapper too, like the actual peanut butter cups?
So good
Probably.
question.
Oh man.
Yeah, okay, is it just a giant Reese's cup? They're cutting into pie
9-inch
shape?
cup pie. They call it.
But you don't just eat it like a big Reese's cup. You cut it like pie.
Yeah. That's how they show it on the, cutting a piece out of it.
Yeah, I know what they showed Brady. I thought, boy, he's imagining imagine, and this is the difference. Now, I will have to say, I have in just a day and a half grown accustomed to having a screen on, letting us know some things while it's going on, and that's going to take some time breaking me of that habit because I can't have that with Shiny Bass Boy over there taking a gander at the. Well, maybe if we put one behind him.
Well, we got that TV right behind him.
I know, but would that be too much, Brady, or do you'll just put up a big
Every once in a
mirror?
while, I might have to take a look at that banjo minnow.
Then we lose you. Then it's over because the second your head turns, it's gone. You'd be like Morris Day. You'd have a mirror in front of you the entire time to see the TV behind you. Anyway, and plus, I don't know if you guys are paying attention to this, but with downtime and not able to go anywhere, I've found that I've started to watch anything. And I'm not a binger, but I got into the Rittenhouse closing statements. I don't know if you're watching any of the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff. The prosecutor took the AR-15 yesterday.
I saw this, yeah.
Alec Baldwin'd the thing, locked it. It wasn't loaded, but he cranked it and pointed it directly at the face of the jury members, like in position, like on the shoulder, in the the hot and ready position, not at down like you're supposed to with a gun, never aim it at a person. He took the actual gun and aimed it at the jury and started to tell them, like, this is what happened. This is what it looks like. It was horrifying to
get
watch.
A feeling.
Well, and the idiot didn't clear it. He didn't look to make sure it was empty, and he had his finger on the trigger.
And he wrecked the thing.
Yeah.
Like, it was ready to go. And yeah, you're right. He didn't clear it. He didn't look. He didn't make it appear at all that he had any. It was an Alec Baldwin situation. Yeah. It's like, this thing's unloaded. I was told it was unloaded. And to take an AR-15, to take any gun at all and aim it at a human being without any safety precaution is the scariest. Even on TV, I'm like, oh my God, please put that down. Yeah. It was insane. And it's riveting television. It really is. That Rittenhouse trial is unreal. How I don't know which way it's going to go.
1 down, 5 to go.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of those. But the crazy thing was, with all that's going on, that guy did it. And I got into a discussion with a gun nut friend of ours there, Brett Ted.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't agree with him more. Couldn't agree with Adam Coronado. Couldn't agree with Ted more that you just don't aim that gun. But man, was that an effective lawyer trick to show those jurors how horrifying it would be if somebody just carried a gun in and pointed it at you. No matter if they're innocent or not, it immediately ups the ante in the way people are going to.
This is what the kid did?
Respond. Well, it's a weird. I don't know if you guys have followed any of it. It's just so strange because the idiot went down to a potential firestorm. Well, not even a potential one. It was a firestorm with an AR-15 at the ready. And so is it self-defense when you walk to the problem with the gun?
Yeah.
But then later, it was self-defense when guys were trying to beat him up, grab the gun, and he started shooting. And so they're trying to make him to be like an active shooter type that went down there with bad intentions, but he did technically defend himself. It was self-defense at a certain point, but where do you start the self-defense defense? When the kid walked down there and said, there's trouble, I brought a gun, and it is really big and visible.
Just in case.
And you just don't, I mean, for me, and people will argue the other side, and I kind of see both sides.
Yeah.
Is that he has every right to do it, but is it a smart thing to do? And I remember once my neighbor's house alarm was going off. And it was crazy. And it was not just like a car alarm. This thing was nuts, and it was the place behind me. So and it's, one hop over the alley, and this is my backyard. So I went into the alley, and the thing's going nuts, and the gate's disturbed, and I'm like, oh, this is no good. So I grabbed a gun and holstered it and walked around that edge to see if my gate had been compromised or anything else, and a couple of cops were right there, and I had some on top of it. And I know. And the cops were standing right there. And my first words were, guys, I've got a gun on me right now. It's not in hand, but I do have a gun. They're like, we appreciate letting us know. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but the gate back here is open, blah, blah. And all I kept saying was, and I have a gun. It is a loaded gun. It is, and if you want me to leave, I will. And they're like, oh no, you're good. You're good. We're not finding anything. Probably better to get back in your house. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I was just making sure. I said, you guys have it. If you need anything, I'm right here. And like, yep. And as I'm leaving, I turned. I'm like, I have a gun. It was this strange, because I realized at that moment I had invited myself into trouble by even walking out there. But I was, I could have stayed within the confines of my fencing, and I didn't. I went towards the noise. I went towards the problem with a gun because it gave me that security. And it was it wasn't sort of. It was really stupid. But at the same time, had I needed to use it, I would have been able to defend myself. So in this Kyle Rittenhouse thing, it's just so strange to watch these lawyers play out when self-defense starts and when you asked for it.
Here's the other thing that went through your mind, that little thing that's like, well, that's the reason why I got this gun, for situations like this.
But it wasn't, though.
But it's always in the back of the mind, because why you buy the gun? Well, I better take it out because that's why I have it.
For self-defense.
If your neighbors are going crazy with an alarm, that would be something to wonder.
Is that self-defense for me, though, if I walk over to it?
Yeah, that's true.
Am I defending anything of mine walking towards someone else's property?
Well, when it starts, then there's the gray area that it felt like it was moving over towards your property.
I'm the only one who made it feel that way. Yeah. I mean, in hindsight of my own actions, I am the only one. I mean, in hindsight, the best move for me was to guard my own thing, not to leave it.
And there is the argument of why that's why we don't want people to have guns, because they then feel like, oh, I got this, I'm going to use it.
Well, the whole trial, if that were true, we'd have a lot more shootings, but you're right.
Correct, but not technically firing it, but it's going to go out there, carry it, and I'm going to go towards it because I'm more secure.
I don't agree that he should have went towards it, but I mean, I agree that he can have it and he can, defend himself.
You're allowed to have it.
Just like you were in the back. Yep. If you were just in your backyard defending your stuff, okay. But if you went over into your neighbor's yard, it's something else.
But to me, and maybe this is the tactical black stuff talking, the first thing they tell you is the best defense is getting the F out of it.
Yeah. Right.
And walking towards it with an AR-15 across your chest is definitely not inviting behavior, I guess. It's riveting television. It really is. And the only person that seems to be bored by it all is Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
This kid is
yawning.
Choking back a yawn. Did the yawning?
Well, he was
doesn't
crying like crazy last
night.
night.
Was
he?
Yeah,
well,
that was
he was coached. He was coached.
That was the day I started getting involved, is because those aren't. I've seen those tears before, and they're when you're crying to try to get something from your parents when you're 4. It didn't seem real, but it seemed like acting. But yesterday, somebody has told Kyle Rittenhouse, "Don't yawn. You're on camera the entire time. If you yawn, you'll look like you don't care." So instead, he's doing those closed mouth. Trying to hide yawns, and it's more obvious, and it made me so I yawned about 300 times for the kid, because every time you see somebody choke back and yawn, oh my god, it's worse than COVID. I was like, come on, Kyle, just let one out, get under the table, do something, turn around, put a blanket over your head, let that yawn out. About 13 times he did the closed mouth. I'm like, just yawn, man. But yeah, it is a fascinating thing. They've made the trial about, like what Brady said, is like people shouldn't have guns because they'll use them. They've made the trial about guns.
Oh, yeah.
And not about the event, really. The prosecution is basically making it like these are horrifying. No one should ever have one. They didn't say that, but by aiming it at people on the heels of that Alec Baldwin thing, which is just so weird, to aim an AR-15 at people, and you're right, didn't clear it. I mean, threw that thing back and made the noise and then just pointed it right up, finger on the trigger. And it was effective. As a lawyer trick in court, wow, is that effective? Because on TV watching it, you're like, holy crap. This
is still wrong, though.
It's incredibly wrong, but it's so effective. If you're a juror and a guy points an AR, and especially if you're a gun guy, all of a sudden the trial becomes about gun safety and like who's doing what and how stupid people are, and it has nothing to do with what happened. It's a fascinating deal, but I don't know. I guess they're going to jury deliberations today, and I don't know
on the rest of the accounts
how it's going to end. And all the stuff. I don't know what I don't know what they're deliberating as guilt. I think today.
Well, the one story I heard that the judge sided with Rittenhouse, and now
dropped one charge.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of charges,
possession or something like that.
The news reporter or the journalist doing the story was claiming the judge is in on this with Rittenhouse.
Oh, that's politically charged.
Yeah, exactly.
It's guns. It's I think it was a BLM march and all that, and in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and they showed some of the footage. Those folks they burned up an entire car dealership, all the cars. It was, and that's the thing. I mean, that's where my brain says, "Hey, they're burning up the Courtesy Chevrolet down the street here. I should grab my gun and walk towards that." That's right. That to me is like, I mean, it's already a problem. I'm not going down there, but it's man. Once watching, like, crap, I'm sucked in, and I watched that for about 2 hours yesterday, and then miserable with my life, I got up and decided to do something productive instead, because you can't sit and watch somebody else's trial for 2 hours and feel good about yourself. But yeah, I highly recommend binging that. If anybody's saying, "What are you watching?" Like, oh, Rittenhouse. It's been great, because there's nothing else for me to watch anymore. I watch old Max.
Is that on Netflix?
Yeah, it will be soon. They're gonna I think you can pick it up on Amazon Prime and get all the repeats. But I was totally immersed in that thing yesterday, and now I'm just annoyed by it, because I'm hooked. So I'm gonna go back into Fox News and CNN's coverage. Fox News did it, and then when I left the room and came back, they had a story where they had a priest on. This is where we are in 2021. Fox News has completely lost the plot to me. CNN's been going years, so don't think I'm picking a side. They had a priest on yesterday that said that he could have predicted what happened at Travis Scott's Astroworld because of the demonic imagery. He goes, and demons, they love tribal drum beats. They love the demonic images. They love, and he's talking about, all music and certain drum patterns and things like that. Demons love that kind of stuff. And and I'm like, is it 2021 and somebody is still on a newscast being taken seriously saying demons might have done, demons probably got involved. Again, how in the world this dude was on television? And Toledo, if you can find the clip, you guys will laugh because it's like an Onion story.
I give it to him for at least going after the entertainment value.
But I wish there was a joke thrown in. That was the funny part. It was like he was dead serious that demons played a part in this. And then once, he's like, you walk in through this giant structure of Travis Scott's face, and in order to go in, you have to go through the mouth, which we all know. And he acted like this was common knowledge. Demons use the mouth as their way of getting people in and out from one side to the other. And then, of course, you walk down this ramp, and there were some images that made it seem like you were going through the 7 layers of Dante's Inferno.
Wow.
And he said, and so you got that going on. I'm like, what concert doesn't have fire and make you feel like you've just crossed over into a dangerous place? That is about, every rock concert ever has had that. And
that guy
we've
probably
done all right
strokes
with
out if he looks at a Ghost concert.
if he saw, but it reminded me of when people would say, rock and roll has got to go, and they would break records in the early '80s when they put
it's getting closer, isn't it?
Yeah, Ozzy and Priest and all these people. Like, we took these morons, these people who have defended child rape for over 1,000 years, and we put them on TV and say, tell us about and how they're involved. And it's like, how in the world are we taking any collared individual seriously about the?
You said collared, right?
Collared. Collared. Yeah.
I heard that.
You know what? I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to take it how do you take any person of collar? How do you take them seriously at all? But yeah, I was just sitting there shaking my head. I'm like, this is on a national news channel that's the highest rated one, and they're just stirring the pot with demons now, as if America wasn't dumb enough. There's a faction that now thinks that demons can be summoned in I don't know. It made me feel like race played a part for sure.
60% or people that believe in spirits and
yeah,
they're that stupid though that they think that demons play a part in their day-to-day life, that they can't control it. Well, if that was the case, why
I don't know about can't controlling, but I think
clearly you can't control it because Astroworld was a stampede, which he kept saying this is clearly the work of demons. The stampede could have been avoided. It could have been avoided, but it had nothing to do with demons. It had everything to do with a promoter that allowed 50,000 people to stand where 20,000 people go.
And human nature.
If being a demon or possessed or whatever gets me Kylie Jenner, I'm in. Sign me. Where is the papers? I'm signing up.
And that's what he said. He said Travis Scott clearly is in on the deal because he's been promised fame and fortune by deals with Satan.
Sounds like a Charlie Daniels song.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, he's Johnny. He rosined up his bow, and he went to Astroworld hard. But I was just, you're right. If like a demon made it so it's like, hey, you can get Kylie Jenner a couple of babies. I'm like, well, you have to have kids? It's like, hey, I'm a demon. I'm going to make it a little bit awful. Demons. I mean, seriously, demons. Like, that's what he thinks had something to do with it. Not just a terrible accident. Can't just chalk it up to really poor planning and everything else. Nope, demons. And again, that guy's music was making the demons happy. He knows what makes demons happy. We've got that. That's science. We've got that all figured out, what demons like. And it's usually rap concerts that get people all fired up. And that's why every single rap concert, the ending is a stampede. It was embarrassing to have on TV, but
you got it.
I mean, Fox News was a time machine back to all the stuff we laugh at when they were afraid of, the Beatles, for Christ's sake, and they were like Ricky Nelson.
Here's the guy.
Here it is.
Oh, it is.
A satanic.
Got two things running.
Oh, Toledo's got some radio videos going on at the same time. They didn't have a crowd in the one I watched, Rich. Yeah, anyway, the guy was just out of his cork. And they took him to, like, nobody ever said, that's a little far-fetched, sir. Again, I go back to the idea, I don't know that anybody truly believes in demons, because if the chief of police told you that your loved one who had just been murdered, they can't figure it out, but we're pretty sure it's demons, you'd be like, fire this man immediately and find me who killed my wife, kid, husband, whoever.
Exorcist expert whose work was featured in the movie Demon House. All right, so, Father, what signs did you see at that concert that would lead you to believe there was a satanic role?
First of all, when the entrance to the concert seemed to be the mouth of the singer, and everyone had to kind of go in through that, and certainly for a demon, the mouth is a prime part of one's body that it would like to take over.
It's a bounce house.
Because it could certainly communicate and talk, and that is one of its objects. And so when you got into the concert, then
he just described a mouth to us
into going to the other side or coming to the stage, which was seemingly like the gates of hell, and so people were kind of motivated.
You can stop it. The reason why, I even turned into like a political activist for black people. I had my arm up. I'm like, yes, because the stage seemed very similar to what he pictures the gates of hell looking like. Black people dancing everywhere.
They're walking into that ashy skull.
Yeah. Well, if you want to have some real fun, watch what The Simpsons did 20 years ago when they did a thing about, I think it was crossing over to the other side. They have Travis Scott's entry head as a demonic place you walk through. It was like 15, 20 years old, the show. And The Simpsons have predicted everything in the history of man. It's the craziest thing since they've come on. Like everything you do, you can go back and say, wow, they did a Simpsons about this. They have the Astroworld entrance in one of their episodes. And it's 20 years ago, which is insanity. Yeah, it's crazy. So that was my day yesterday. But if you know, again, if we're talking and you say, well, demons made it, so I did this, and this, it is impossible for us to be friends. If demons are something you blame for a day-to-day act, it's just I can't tolerate you. There's no personal responsibility when demons step in. Talk about encouraging lying. Anyway, let's get a wake-up song, shall we? A Travis Scott one, maybe, and get those demons all happy. We'll get them happy and fired up. It'll be fun. It makes me want to listen to Travis Scott, so people like that guy are nowhere near me ever in my life.
His music sounds like hell. It's not going through the skull and everything else. You kidding?
No.
Soundtrack of hell right there.
Now, I'll give you that, but that's personal. That's not demons at work. That's just you saying, I don't like it, and I can deal with that. Demons have made it so I ain't like it. That is a low IQ'd individual. Anyway, let's get a wake-up song, shall we? 585-9800. You give it to us good and strong. We'll scream it together. It's 98 KUPD. Wake up!
You guys partake?
I'll partake.
98.
Hit me.
98 KUPD.
You've been listening to Holmberg's Morning Sickness Podcast, brought to you by our friends at Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Eric'sFamilyBBQ.com.